All right, I'm going to begin. Let's see if Orv shows up here. I know he's here, but maybe he's taking,
Hi, Susan.
okay. Okay, we got Orv and we got Darlene. All righty. Let's see. Lady Ebba, actually, so, okay. I'm just looking here. So there's two people still missing. So this is a new group. So look around. Have you got your screen set up so you can see everybody? There's going to be 7 people, including me, 6 members and me. So you should all be able to see everybody. Is there anybody who's using like a very tiny screen? Just show of hands. So Darlene, you're using a tiny screen. Okay, so you probably can't see everyone at once then, is that correct? All right, you see how many people, Darlene? I know you've got yourself muted, but how many?
Yeah, I can flip through. I just can't see them all simultaneously.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do a little brief warm-up exercise. It won't matter too much, so don't worry too much, but it's gonna have to do with looking at the screen and seeing the people. But I'm not there yet. I just wanted to warn you, kind of get a feel for who's able to really fully participate given the technology. So this is the Honesty Salon, and we are each other's practice partners for the next 6 weeks. I'll give you all a chance to go around and say something to introduce yourself in a minute. But the idea of what are we practicing? We're practicing revealing what's going on inside of us and being open and curious about our response to what comes from the outside into us. So it's like an energy exchange and an information exchange and a feeling exchange between ourselves and others. And the idea is when we're in the present moment, and that's what we're going to aim for. What am I feeling right now? What am I seeing? What am I thinking? When we're in the present moment, that has us actually be able to perceive more of reality because we're not divided in our attention where half of our attention is somewhere else. Or if half of our attention is somewhere else, like, I'm distracted by the thought that you have spinach in your teeth, and I just need to say that so I can clear my foreground. Those are the kind of things that we pay attention to in this Honesty Salon. I did send you a handout. So how many people have that in front of you right now? Because once again, I just need to kind of get a feel for where we are with that. And that handout is what we're going to be working with most of the time here today. And those are different phrases that help keep the conversation in the present moment. And if you want to look, if you get good at those, you can use them in your daily life. Anytime you want to bring the conversation into the present where there's more I, thou, and where there's generally more aliveness versus when you're telling a story that perhaps you've told several times before or 100 times before. So with that, that's just like the purpose. What we're going to do today first is simply get here physically. So I want you to feel how your body feels where you're sitting, and keep your eyes open right now. I'm going to instruct you to close your eyes in a minute, but I want to see what we can do with eyes open. So feeling yourself as you're looking at people. And notice your breath. And notice how maybe the tendency is to kind of want to draw your attention in. It may be difficult to both look and really see what's outside of yourself while at the same time you're feeling yourself. This is one of the inquiries that we're going to be looking at here. So I'm going to give you a few different ways to do this. So just notice right now as you're looking at people, what happens to your breathing and your awareness of your physical self in the chair. And now go ahead and close your eyes. Just close your eyes and notice how that feels and if it feels different. Notice if something changes in your breathing just by the act of closing your eyes and going more inward. And now I'm going to ask us to open our eyes again. And so go ahead and open your eyes and see what changes in your ability to just be aware. And I would like some comments. Anybody have any? Just kind of raise your hand because it's hard to just all speak at once. So raise your hand if you have something to share. Darlene, go ahead and unmute yourself. And what did you notice about that little tiny exercise there?
Something that was really hilarious was when I closed my eyes, I felt really kind of vulnerable, like unprotected, because I'm like, okay, now they can see me and I don't see them. And then I was like, wait a second, they're supposed to be closing their eyes too. So it was weird how I noticed how I was in my head instead of like, okay, the group is doing this. You know, it was just kind of a funny thing.
Thank
I thought
you.
it was hilarious.
Yeah. Heidi?
It's funny because I have almost a little bit opposite experience where when my eyes were open, it felt awkward and nervous to me. And then once I closed my eyes, it was just like, oh, like I could actually feel kind of radiation, or not radiation, but my chest warmth radiating in my stomach or chest when I closed my eyes.
How many people, others that are here, felt something similar to what Heidi said? Okay. You want to say that in your own words? Anybody? Robert or Lynn?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lynn.
I got much more conscious of my breathing when I closed my eyes, and I got tired, which was a little surprising. I could feel, I got tired.
Thanks. You want to add your own, Robert?
Yes, for me, when I closed my eyes, I just found it easier to notice what I was feeling and my sensations.
Yeah. And so did I. So being kind of what Heidi said, what Robert said there. Yeah, I found myself holding my breath when I was looking out at you all to a certain degree.
Right.
So it's just an exercise in noticing. Before we get into like doing the practice today and using the guidelines that I'll introduce in a minute, I would like us all to have a little chance to say something about what you want out of either, what you want in this series. It can also apply to what you want today. And I'm gonna time these, and then it's gonna be, I prefer that you keep it well under a minute, but I think it's okay if we go a minute. So here's 2 questions underneath that. What do you want of yourself? And what do you want of the group, or from the group, or from Susan? So I'm going to give us a 30 seconds or so to just sit with the question before we start sharing, okay? What do you want? Especially, what do you want from yourself? What do you want from the group or me? Anybody want to start? Okay, go ahead, Heidi.
What I want from myself is to learn how to incorporate the things that we learn in these sessions into my real life, into actually expressing my feelings and emotions to the people who are in my everyday life. And then what I want from this group is a place where I can just come and process my emotions and to be vulnerable and to release it all, because I tend to bottle it up, and to have engagement with each other.
Okay. Who would want to go next?
Okay, next.
Okay, Lynn, go ahead.
I want to bring my my authentic self here and to be able to practice being all of who I am. And what I want from the group is honest feedback. Honest feedback, but also the same thing. They bring their authentic selves. And if that includes feedback for me, that's awesome.
Okay. Who wants to share next?
I do. What I want from the group is just people to show up. And I sort of like consistency and showing up on time. And it's not aimed at anyone, just maybe showed up late, but I'm not perfect at it myself, but I like that. I like to be able to count on that. So it's just something that I can't always have, but I like. What I want for me is these reminders to be present, to notice what's happening right now. If I could remember what Susan said in those first few sentences, that's really it. It's like, what's happening now, not what I'm thinking is going to happen or what happened before. And so, in noticing that, I want to and I don't want to push my edge of vulnerability in revealing that. And what do I want from Susan? I don't have, right now, I don't have permission to want anything from Susan other than what we're getting. I haven't given myself that permission. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Orv, do you know what we're doing right now? I don't know if you could hear us.
It looked as though Orv froze for a moment.
Uh-huh. Do you know the exercise we're doing right now, Orv, or shall I repeat it for you?
The exercise, I know, Susan, the exercise to share what I want from myself, from the group, and from you.
I said, why don't you go next then?
I'll go next. I want, from myself, I want to share, to practice sharing what I feel and what I want within the group, and encourage and challenge myself to do that more in everyday life, at work, and people that I maybe don't know so well. And with the group, I I'd like to participate and practice this specific skill, like which I just said, and I'd like from the group to um, to know to reveal themselves, so I get to know them, and for them to challenge me within the framework of the practice. And from Susan, um, I'd like you to give me specific feedback during and after the sessions, or during the 6 weeks, on um, the areas that I feel stuck in my own life.
Okay, thank you. Darlene, your turn.
First of all, I really appreciate being able to set intention like this. So thank you, Susan. For myself, I want to learn to come from being when I'm communicating, which is what you've already described about being present. I'm really noticing more and more how I have a tendency to come from a place of force and how ineffective that is. So coming from being is so much more effective. And for the group, I really want, like participation, and a safe space is important to me. And that's what I would ask for also from you, Susan, is that if there is some kind of confrontation or something does get messy, that, you can help us through that and not have us walk away with bad feelings. That's it.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want from myself in the group is to really be able to pay attention to each of you, to pay attention to your nonverbals, to check something out if I'm wondering, is this going on? I want to be able to start more or less on time. Like I said today, I'm going to start on time. I'll give 1 minute grace period. And I want to hold myself to that. So then that brings me to what I want from others, is to be on time, and to come to all the sessions, and to let me know if you are feeling triggered. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more in terms of just holding the container, but that's something I'll want from you, is to, as soon as you're aware of it. Sometimes you're so frozen that or it seems like such a minor trigger, but you're actually in a mini freeze, and you think you can continue to communicate. But I would like you to, as soon as you're aware of, I'm just distracted by some discomfort inside of me right now, I better mention that. So I'll just say it right now. So if you're triggered, just, if you have a pen or something, just hold it up like that. I don't have the little toy buttons to hand out, but probably everybody's got a pen. If you don't have a pen, just hold up one finger. Okay, so it's like an exclamation point here. I'm getting triggered. And what we will do then is I'll call for a group pause. And every once in a while, I might call for a group pause anyway. And so I will just ask you, could we have a group pause right now? And so I would like you to go along with it when I ask that. And I would also like you guys to be as relaxed as you can be about me saying things like, could I pause you right now? And that doesn't mean a group pause. Could I pause you right now? What do you notice in your body as you're saying those words? That's something I want the group's permission to do. Sometimes that's my role to do that, to help you slow it down, check in with yourself, know what you're feeling, that sort of thing. So that's what I want. And so we already got that ground rule about if you're triggered or some version of that, just hold something up. Is everybody okay with those two things? Signaling when you're triggered and having me interrupt you. And that doesn't mean that when I interrupt you, that might actually trigger you. Gee, you know, I was trying to share something and it was very important to me. And then Susan paused me and now all the wind's out of my sails. It's okay to have that reaction. And as far as what happens after somebody's triggered or after I call for a group pause, I will just invite, does anyone, now that we've had that little group pause, does anyone want to speak about what's there for you, what came up for you during the pause? And that would also be an invitation for the person who got triggered to report where they're at in the moment, just what's going on with you in the moment. And you could always just not share. You don't have to share about a trigger, but it's just good to know when it's there. So I think you all have somewhat of an idea of what I mean by trigger. It just means you're upset. Okay, so let's pull out the handout here, which is Honesty Salon sentence stems. You all have that in
I
front.
put up the trigger sign.
Ah, yes.
Okay. I don't know what we do from there, but I just put it up.
Okay. We pause for a minute just to give a chance. If somebody's triggered, we just feel what we're feeling right now. Notice any self-talk. And allow your breathing to deepen so that you can make space for whatever's there. Just making space for it. I'm not trying to change it at all. And I'm going to ring a little gong to kind of bring us back, to signal that it's time to open our eyes. So that'll be the way we come back, is I'll ring this. So I'd like to invite two different kinds of shares. One be from the group, other than Robert, revealing when I heard Robert and saw him raise his pen, here's what came up for me. So sharing like that. Or during the silence, here's what came up for me. That's one version of sharing. And then Robert can be whatever you feel like you want to share right now, if at all. So this is just a little open space. If you're going to speak, just kind of raise your hand and then go ahead and speak.
Okay. I want to start it out since I raised the pen. So what I notice in my body is I notice my legs are heavy and mostly relaxed, and that I have a kind of a concentration of energy ache in my chest and pressure ache. And the self-talk was, I'm really glad you said that, because the self-talk was, oh, this is little, don't even mention it. And there was some other self-talk which I've already Yeah, something like that. Oh, and there's a, Robert, you were already kind of agitated before the meeting, and are you just kind of picking up on that? And I guess rather than keep you in suspense, I want to say that I was at least affected, and maybe, I guess the word's triggered by, oh, I wish I hadn't. It's just, I want to say this in a kind way, but anyway, I was affected by Arv coming late and kind of not addressing that. And so I just wanted to announce that. Triggered.
So would you want a response from Orv in the that's how you say his name, Orv, in the form of, I'm going to structure a little bit. When I heard blank, I felt or said to myself blank. So, Orv, if you're going to,
I'd love that.
that's going to be. Would you like that? Okay, so let's.
Definitely.
I imagine Orv will be available for that, right, Orv?
Yes. Robert, when I heard you say that you were triggered by me coming late, and you said, what did you say? And not explaining that, hearing that, I felt annoyed, and my self-talk was, oh, here's another boss that I don't work for. He's not my boss. You're not my boss. Is what my self-talk was.
So, Robert, are you available to respond again in that form? Hearing when I heard da da da, I felt or I said to myself.
Yes, hearing that at first, when you said here's another boss, when I heard here's another boss, I braced and kind of got a little bit defended, felt braced and defended, and then I kind of told myself, where I said, oh, this is just his expression. This is Orv's expression of, I'm a representation of another boss, but it's not necessarily about me.
And so, Robert, as you say that last thing, what do you notice in your body right now?
I notice a heaviness and not a relaxed heaviness, and a sadness, and I don't think I was being fully honest there. I mean, that's not in my body, but I think that I was bullshitting about it's not about me, and really what was up was yes, that was there, but I was also defensive and making it about me. So it was both, but it was like I was underplaying the defensiveness.
So anybody else want to say to Robert, are you open to people just hearing you say that I feel, or hearing you say that my self-talk is? I'm just going to do it that way.
That's great.
Just from anybody else. If anyone who wants to offer that just to Robert now.
Including Orv, who's already spoken.
Robert, hearing you say that, I felt relieved. My self-talk was, yep.
Okay. Hearing that, I relax and enjoy what you said.
I don't know, my self-talk in just hearing what Robert said was,
Would you say that to Robert? Look at him on the screen, even though,
okay.
Okay. It's more I thou.
Okay, my
I know
self-talk.
you're just talking about yourself, but let's see how it goes if you make a connection.
My self-talk when I heard you talking just now was that I wasn't sure, I wasn't following, and I wasn't sure if he knows what he's trying to say. Um, if I can explain a little more, I think
So this
he
is
may
your
be
self-talk. So reveal it now. Okay. So
he may be
self-talk.
trying to figure out what he's feeling by just speaking, but I'm not understanding what he's saying now.
Okay, let me pause you. So what's the gut feeling you're getting as you're having this thought? What's that general
The gut
feeling in
feeling
your body?
was a little bit of annoyance. And then actually there's also a feeling of, oh, maybe I'm the one who's not getting it.
So that's a thought, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So sitting with that. Is there anything more you want to just say from you to Robert?
I do appreciate your honesty in sharing what was triggering to you. I think that was exactly why I'm here, and it took more courage than I would have had.
Okay, so when you say it took more courage, I'm going to give a little mini lecture here. These complimentary, appreciative little things that people often say like that. How does that help you, Heidi? I'm looking at the whole frame of control patterns now. Is this one of Heidi's control patterns? That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
But does it help you feel more connected to Robert? Does it help you feel more safe in yourself? What does this do for you?
Yes, I did not grow up in a culture that complimented people generally. And so when I started working, in the real world, and I noticed that people, especially I think in American culture, tend to compliment profusely, well, much more than, the Asian culture that I'm from. And so I remember being really surprised, but really noticing that it got people to react to them or to like them, and so then I started picking that up.
All right, I'm going to give you a little experiment here.
Okay.
This is, I just, if you don't want to do it,
Yeah.
Ask Robert that little thing about courage and so forth that I said to you. Did that help you like me better?
Robert, when you heard me say what I said about courage, did that help you like me better? Or what went through your head when I said that?
Initially, I felt, oh, I took this as a compliment, and I tend to generate my self-worth sometimes based on what people say. And so, yes. And then I thought, well, it's just a comparison, and how is that helpful? And so it was both. Again, maybe this is unclear, but it was, oh, yeah, that's kind of you. And there's something that I can't grab a hold of about it. There's like, it's anyway.
Okay, Lynn, let's pause, because even though you're in the middle of something, Lynn raised the pen. So we're going to just take another little pause and feel into what we're feeling right now. So Lynn, are you going to want to share anything?
Yes. I was using the pen because I was starting to notice myself both getting annoyed and withdrawing. And those are two old habits that I use when I want attention.
So let's just notice how that feels, to feel and state that, Lynn. And could the rest of us also notice how that felt to hear that? And Lynn, are you open to anyone giving you feedback just in the form of hearing you say that I felt or my self-talk was?
Yes.
You would. Okay. Anybody want to give that to Lynn? And just, I mean, I'm forgetting to do it myself, but no, like raise your hand and then just go ahead and speak, because then we'll see. Okay, Darlene raised her hand first, so I'll let, and then we'll have Orv after that.
I'm finding myself being a little emotional because withdrawal is one of my big survival mechanisms or whatever. So I was really, I'm just really moved by your self-awareness and speaking it, like naming it. And I thank you for that example.
Thank you.
Okay, Orv's turn.
Lynn, hearing you say that you noticed feeling withdrawn and wanting attention, I felt a release, sensation of release in my stomach and an ease, and feel really light. It's like a bubble of tension is that I've been experiencing the last few minutes just went away.
I feel warm.
Thank you.
Lynn, when I heard you say you felt annoyed and withdrawn and that's what you do when you want attention, my body opened when you said that, and yeah, I just felt an opening.
I feel teary. I feel both a mix of sadness and joy. We're kind of mixed, and it's coming out in some tears.
Susan, I have some unfinished business with Robert. Okay, is that okay? And Robert, are you okay with getting some back?
We will see. Give it to me. Tell me.
Okay. I've been feeling feeling enraged and angry, thinking that, thinking who are you to tell me that I'm late and that it's not okay. And yeah, like,
So can we pause, do a brief group pause? Everybody feel whatever you're feeling right now and just be with it as you breathe to make space for whatever it is. And I want to give the conversation ball back to Orv. I raised my pen when you spoke about some of those emotions that you're having that I assess to be triggers. So I thought, well, let's check in on a deeper level.
Okay. I am feeling open and willingness to receive. I've like heard something I've been holding back as a habit, not just now. And as I've said it, I feel relieved. And my self-talk is I don't get to do that anytime in the real life. And my the self-talk is that for the both of us or for the six of us, there may be unfinished things, and I'm willing to move where this will take me. So that's where I'm at right now, Susan. When I said what I said, I was okay.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we might come back to that. Darlene has the pen raised, so could we take another few minutes or minute, be with ourselves here. Pause, breathe, feel. Do you wish to share something, Darlene?
I just want to say that I'm feeling very uncomfortable by the sense of conflict. I feel like sadness and some fear. And I'm not sure if it has anything to do with because it's the two guys in the room. Maybe. Like maybe I have more fear around it because I was afraid of my father's anger and didn't care about my mom's kind of thing. But I just wanted to own that I'm feeling that discomfort. And I really appreciate taking that minute to sit with it and really because there's this practice of sitting with your emotion and realizing it's not going to hurt you, kind of. Yeah, so appreciated being able to do that.
Darlene, when I heard you spoke, I felt like I could relate deeply to what you were expressing, feeling tense and uncomfortable and literally in my head thinking, I want to leave. So it's kind of the flight response going on.
Are you open, Darlene, to other reflections like that? Okay, she's nodding her head. Well, Darlene, hearing you say what you said about conflict and your father, I wanted to ask you, as you feel those feelings, is there a place in your body that could use some tender, loving care? Like if you put your hand there on that place in your body, that's where I'm coming from. Okay. So we're gonna move from Darlene. Anybody can, speak to her in a little while, but let's leave Darlene be for now as my suggestion. And or do you feel unfinished about something that you were sharing? Did you want to continue or pick up?
I have my self-talk, hearing you, Darlene, say what you said about feeling fear, and is am I responsible for the conflict? And as I say that, I'm noticing a warmth in my chest, and I just feel this openness to, and this, sorry, wanting, I feel wanting to offer reassurance. That's it.
Okay, Robert seems to be triggered, so let's go back into the pause part for a little bit. Breathing and seeing what comes up as you notice your own response to here we are pausing in this moment. Maybe there's a response to something that was said earlier too. That's just getting a chance to come up and be felt. Notice your breath. Notice if it's full and deep and slow, or if you're only half breathing. And we're opening up the breathing to make space for whatever needs to be felt or attended to. I just want to check with Robert first before anybody talks, okay? And then we'll hear from Orv. Do you want to share anything, Robert? It's always the choice of the person who raised the pen. And you'll need to unmute yourself.
Thank you for reminding me. Hearing, is it Orv? Is that how you pronounce your name, Orv?
That's right, Robert. You said.
Okay. Hearing Orv say, "Who are you to say that I was late?" I noticed I felt, well, I feel kind of contracted, and I felt attacked and wanted to defend myself. And I feel, I have feelings, my heart's racing, not breathing deeply, kind of agitated, which I was a little before the meeting, and feeling my own anger and afraid.
Can you be with that fear a little bit more here and just give that some attention? however that shows up in your body.
When I hear you say that, I feel some just little bits of sadness along with, but yeah.
Any images coming up when you say sadness? Any images coming up, either of things today, that just happened today or other things?
Just an image of me sort of wanting to cry or just seeing myself a little teary, but that was just the image.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then also just some tightness in my chest.
So what would you need right now? What would help you, Robert?
It's a good question. I need some time. Like, this is actually, even though we're slowing down, I can't seem to catch up to what's happening. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I just can't catch up. And I guess this, so when I get feedback, I want to hear how you feel rather than who or how I am, if that's possible. Like from Orv or from anyone. I want to know how it lands for you rather than.
What impact your words have on the other person.
And I want to try to do better about sharing impact myself, because I'm not perfect at it. Yeah.
I'm feeling stressed right now. Feeling two things. I'm feeling this tension inside of me between this earlier feeling that I had was I noticed my pattern to justify myself when I was thinking about Darlene's share. And as I put attention, oh, I'm justifying myself, I felt this loving warmth that, oh, okay, so that also comes up. And then, Robert, as I started here, when I heard you say you were feeling some fear, I felt some tenderness towards you. And then in the middle, immediately, I got triggered because I needed to be with myself right now. So having been pulled out of my experience, I feel this like pressure in my head and I feel torn. So I am triggered right now.
Let's pause and let you feel into that, and let the rest of us also see what's there for us when we hear or speak the way he just spoke, or anything else that's kind of lingering that's there, that we've got rumbling around, that we're reacting to in any way. And breathing openly, slowly, to make space for whatever feelings, memories, even thoughts and stories, whatever arises. And after I ring this bell and we come back to the group, I'm going to invite the women to speak first in the interest of balancing participation here. And I'm saying that before I ring the bell in case that triggers anybody right now. So just notice any feelings in response to what I just said. We'll all get a chance to share, but I want to balance it out a little bit more here. So I'm inviting anything at all from Lynn, Heidi, or Darlene right now. And you might look at, if, you can stay with the format we've been using, when this happened, I felt or I thought, or you can go anywhere on that sheet that is the handout for today. Pick something from there. Darlene.
When I heard Orv's share, part of me is attracted to or feels good about him sharing his emotion and warmth. And part of me is afraid to trust it, I guess, or not sure that it's right in a way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little exercise to
Okay.
work with that. This is a version of parts work. So I've got one part that's saying, yeah, so I want you to speak from the part. I'm kind of attracted to the way he expresses himself, just one or two sentences on that side. Then you've got another side, I'm not sure I can trust, okay? So part A and part B. There's two parts.
Sorry.
Okay, Susan, I'm trying to be clear. So you just want me to kind of...
speak from one part. There was a part that was attracted or had warmth or something, said something about his warmth. So it's like, I'm being that part of me. I'm fully being that part of me. Then I leave that alone. And then I'm fully being the part of me that had, mistrust, like that. Okay.
Okay, so the part of me that felt good, it feels like walking into the sun and just like feeling the warmth and just that whole relaxation through my body. Like I can relax and it's totally not afraid. The other part of me is like, run away.
So what's it saying? Let's get out of here, or I don't know. What does it say? I think some of us might be frozen. All right, we're back. Some of us dropped off. So you were on that second part. You froze or I froze and I didn't hear the second part.
Yeah, that scared me too because I was like, okay, what do I do now?
You really did leave.
Yeah, it just feeling like terrified, and I want to hide. I want to withdraw. I want to run. Like there's a part of me that does not trust that people can be that way, like be warm and be trustworthy and be I almost felt protected by his comments, and yeah, like I just don't feel like I can trust that I have to protect myself.
Okay, so just feel into that, and I'll let you deal with that for a while, and we'll let other people share. Feel that I have to protect myself. Stay with that a little bit.
Okay.
Heidi or Lynn?
Yeah, I'm feeling sadness coming up. The self-talk I hear in my head it is really different. The only experience I've had with you, Susan, was in a group that was pretty much all female. And the self-talk I have coming up it's really different dynamic with men. And so I'm feeling a lot of sadness of this softness or supportive softness. Yeah. That I feel was a real important part of the dynamic from the group that I loved before.
Go ahead, Lynn.
I was feeling, watching the exchange and listening to the exchange between the two guys. You guys were like this on my screen. I had a real mix of emotions with you, Robert, when you started talking about being fearful and how difficult it was for you to catch up, and you were kind of behind in, I think you meant in your emotions. That's what was going on in my head. I felt a lot of compassion and sadness. That was your experience. That's what was going on for you. And with you, Orv, I had a mix of emotions with you too. Earlier on today, you were talking about, I'm going to forget the words, but it was another exchange with Robert. And you were talking about, your annoyance. And the way that you were talking, your tone of voice was very light and just sort of like, oh, I'm just annoyed. And he's like another guy, another boss. And I felt this just lightness. And I think the words were, oh, he can hold those difficult emotions with care and love. And that was attractive to me. That I felt light in my heart about that. And then a little later, you got a little more, like much later, you got a little more of a tinge in the tone of your voice. It was like stronger, and the lightness was gone. At least that's what happened to me. Is the lightness was gone, and I found myself wondering. There was both a feeling, it was a wondering of what's real. What is it the lightness, or is it this other kind of strong part? And that kind of sums it up. And I'm enjoying seeing the half smile on your face right now. And thank you for moving your screen too. You were like cut off from here, and you moved it. So thank you.
I'm feeling amused and smiling. I'm telling myself, none of it is real, or all of it is. It's your feeling. As I smile, look at it, I was like, wow, and I'm smiling now to that, like, none of this is mine. What you're feeling is that. But I have this sadness, as when Heidi was talking about sadness, around the same time I was feeling sadness. Um, I was telling myself, in like everyday life, how many times have I um, thought, held myself responsible for someone's feeling, and the suffering that I have gone through is like, like just had this deep sadness for that, whether it's attraction or it's a fear, um, and those are the two that came up this time, or whatever else. And yeah, I just want to kind of savor that sadness and also feel light as I say it. And yeah, I'm feeling light right now. That's what's real.
Or when you earlier said, this is not real and something like that, I said to myself, Orv's got the witness activated.
Mm.
And now I'd like to invite you, Robert, to share anything that's up for you in this moment. And you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you. I was saying there's just a mix of a lot of different things. And it's so much that it's really hard to express it, or I'm afraid to express it. I don't know which. But I'm definitely feeling contracted, and something I heard Orv say, where you said, Orv, that you've caused a lot of pain by being responsible for other people's feelings. When I heard that, I told myself, this is probably not, I told myself, I cause a lot of pain by taking or at least trying to take responsibility for my own feelings. I'm not saying that in a martyr way. I'm just saying I notice, like, I keep looking to see, really, my communication with you is a lot based on my reactivity, like, and my, yeah, so, and my fear, I think, is based on my childhood stuff about when I perceive somebody's getting angry, or when I feel attacked. I don't even know if I was, especially after listening to Lynn. But so I don't know, it keeps ringing what Heidi said. I don't understand what he's saying, or at least that's what I heard Heidi say. I'm not quite sure what Robert's saying, and I'm just still triggered, and it's not somebody has to take it away. I'm going to have to just be with this and sort of catch up. Maybe I don't want to use the word process because I don't even know what that exactly means, but just sit with it and notice that I'm tense.
I'm going to let you be with that because I want to do a closure round now where we all answer one question about this session. and it's a sentence stem. And then once we've gone and done a closure round, then we will talk about this idea of the debriefing buddies, see who wants to have a buddy to debrief with between now and next Thursday. But the closure round is this. What impacted me most today was when. And I'd like to go in this order. Darlene, Orv, Heidi, Robert, Lynn. But I think I'll go first. Just get it done here. And then it'll be Darlene, and just remember who you're after. Darlene, Orv, Heidi, Robert, Lynn. And it's what impacted me most was when. So just take a minute and feel into this whole hour and 15 minutes that we've just experienced together. And what impacted me most today was when Robert said something about, you know, it's hard for me to keep up. Okay. So Darlene's next.
Overall, what's impacting me most is realizing how much we're probably all triggered all day, every day in our interactions with each other. And we're just not pausing and noticing, right? Like, so no wonder we're having a struggle here in life. But yeah, that was just my overall, like, wow.
It's hard to pick one thing that impacted me the most. So I'll say one thing is when then you said that I have this pattern when I'm wanting attention. Can I say one more, Susan? I'd like to say one more.
Okay, go ahead.
And Susan, when you said, I think you're triggered, and that was very impactful, helpful. And I'll pass it to Heidi.
Susan, can I say two things too?
Yeah, go ahead.
What impacted me, one of the things that impacted me the most was when Robert called out Orv for being late. And then also when Susan basically, well, I don't know if it's basically, I think she said I used a control pattern.
I think, am I next then? I was most impacted when I said to Orv that I thought he was late, and also impacted by how triggered and reactive I was at hearing the things that Orv said.
I was most impacted by Orv saying that that I think the words were, I'm not responsible for your feelings. And I'll just say a little bit about why that impacted me. It was I took it as a lecture, and that sequence in my head of receiving that caused discomfort for me.
All right, let's just check in with ourselves here. And this is us. We have Heba, who is on the list. She lives in Egypt. I don't know what time it is there, but I imagine it's an inconvenient time.
The middle of the night.
I think it's in the middle of the night, so I'm not sure. My self-talk is, what was she
2
thinking?
a.m.
But anyway, we'll see if she shows up, and I hope so. So who, just raise your hands, who wants to have a debriefing buddy? Okay, we have 4 people with their hands raised. So did you raise yours, Heidi?
You know, I really would like to, but the thought of it stresses me out more in terms of time-wise with my little one. So I will just not do debrief.
Well, you can change your mind.
But it
Okay?
makes me very sad.
Change your mind at any time. You can reach out to the group and say, hey, I didn't, was anybody willing to be my debriefing buddy this week, even though maybe they already have a debriefing buddy. Some people don't have jobs. I don't know if some people here don't have jobs, but maybe there's some people who have more time than other people,
Okay, thank you.
So we just reach out, and Heba might be on the list too for that. And Heba, from the other class. Okay. So how should we do this? Anybody got any suggestions of, who raised their hands? So anybody want to take a risk and make a bid? Will you be my buddy, my debriefing?
Or will you be my debriefing buddy?
Sure, then. I would like that.
All right. Is that Darlene and Robert? How's that for you guys? So you're going to
That
be
works.
each other's debriefing buddy?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That works well for me. I was going to ask Darlene.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Very good. And I will send you guys an email like today or tomorrow at the latest, some suggested items to kind of look at when you're debriefing with your partner. Okay?
Darlene, what time zone are you in? Just curious.
Oh, yeah.
Eastern.
So am I.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay, cool.
That's convenient. And
That is.
Orb's in Central and Lynn's in Pacific, so they're 2 hours apart. It's not too bad.
I'm semi-retired, so I tend to have some time if Heidi changes her mind.
Okay, good. Thanks, Robert.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
yeah. And the other thing that impacted me most was what Darlene said about how often the little pens went up. I thought, this is great. So I just want to appreciate all of you for doing that. This is a real experiment in what's really going on under the surface in a group, So appreciate you all very much for joining me in this, and see you same time next week.
We need more men, Susan.
Yeah, I know. I tried to talk Peter. Peter was going to be in it, but then he backed out. So
Oh, tell Peter hello.
yeah, everyone loves Peter. I will tell him hello.
I'll
Thank
call
you.
Peter.
Well, my story is everyone loves Peter.
I don't even know Peter, and I'm starting to like him.
Oh yeah, you'll love him.
Bye.
Bye,
Good night. Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
Heidi, Susan, Lynn, and
Bye.
bye.